I love working with people that inspire me, whether it's our employees or our customers. When faced with interesting challenges, the ingenuity just kicks in, and the positive spirit to make progress is infectious.
To be able to work with women who are the best in the world at what they do is pretty awesome. When you make a promise, you've got to over-deliver.
The decisions that we make, they're about my children and my children's children. That's what drives me every single day. So never doubt that the action that you take can have a big impact.
More data is being produced by the physical industrial world now than ever before. And there's a lot of power in figuring out insights from that data and putting it to the hands of decision makers real time to drive better decision making.
As an athlete, I want to know as much as possible so that I can turn this into an objective science and perfect my game. The more consistency, the better.
When we looked at this issue of textile waste, we knew that there was a demand for it. Our goal was to use technology to provide the bridge between supply and demand. My great-grandfather, he landed at Ellis Island and he settled into the Lower East Side of New York. And he was an immigrant chasing the American dream, and he had to make a living. He found materials and supplies nearby, old fabrics and furs, and he would repurpose them into the most beautiful fashion garments by hand with minimal waste and minimal toxins, because his bottom dollar depended on it. And he sold these beautiful finished goods to local customers. And it was an incredibly successful business. And of course, he didn't talk about it as sustainability, but at the end of the day, that's very much what it was. It made sense for people, it made sense for planet, and it certainly made sense for his profit. Our vision with Queen of Raw is, how can we use technology to get back to the way my great-grandfather did business? I went to an all-women's school, and it really gave us an opportunity to find our voice. They encouraged women to be entrepreneurs, to have bold visions, and to want to go build businesses and change the world. One t-shirt takes an average 700 gallons of water to produce it, and another 700 gallons of water to wash it in its lifetime, and a third of a pound of chemicals. That's one shirt. Over 2 billion shirts are sold around the world every single year. We invented this new material that really hit a note in the market early on when innovation in textiles and sustainability was just getting talked about. And as we were building that business, it was doing really well, but we were still manufacturing something new. And I would go to all these factories and mills and warehouses around the world, and I'd see all this perfectly good stuff. All this fabric sitting there just wasted that was going to be burned or sent to landfill. And it didn't make sense to me. Here they were wanting to buy a sustainable new material, but there's all this perfectly good stuff. It's made out of this, but like a cool Bolero. When we started quantifying it and looking at it, especially for the big brands and retailers, we realized that every single year there's about $120 billion worth of unused fabric that gets wasted. We looked at that number and we said, this is powerful. There's huge opportunity here and we can do better. All of this supply was out there sitting in those warehouses, but knowing how you get it quickly and easily digitized on the web and then be able to match it intelligently to buyers around the world, that was going to be the challenge. And a big part of that was going to be able to integrate into those businesses' inventory management systems so that we could find right away all of that unused stuff, bring all of that information automatically into Queen of Raw, and then be able to match it to buyers around the world.
It'll help drive traffic to that location.
We've actually linked this QR code to that unique identifier for that product so that it can be used across our software as well, so that individuals have access to all the details, data, the whole story of the actual product itself as well. The farmer who sheared the sheep, the mill that processed the actual cotton itself, customs, transport. We have the same power that multi-billion-dollar corporations had a couple decades ago. And that just really makes such a difference that a small group can grow into a large, flourishing business. And I think that's just amazing, and that has really changed the game.
We've actually been able to date to save well over 1 billion gallons of water, while saving these enterprise customers millions of dollars in the process. This waste has value. And for some of our enterprise customers, by selling their waste across our platform, we've actually been able to help them save up to 15% of their bottom line in just 1 year. And at that volume, right, waste isn't just environmentally irresponsible, it becomes a CFO issue.
Did you even know I could do like this?
I have a 5-year-old named Jacob, and I have an almost 9-month-old Jeremy, and I want them to have a planet to live on, clothes that aren't toxic to wear, clean water to drink. And I know that by the actions that we take and what we're doing, we can and will change the world.
I know what the past generations have meant for the future generations and the present generations, and the huge responsibility that comes with that is always present. I've had a very long career in tennis, and specifically in women's tennis. It's much more than a job. It's your life. It's really your extended family, and to be able to share that special journey with them, it's a massive privilege. I loved sports. It was always a big part of our lives, and it was kind of the connector for us. My dad, he was national champion in Holland. He was a hurdler. My grandfather, he was a soccer player for PSV Eindhoven. He was a really well-known player in his day. My grandfather used to always say, it's about much more than the ball. I wondered when I was a child what he meant by that. And what he meant was that sports drives a platform. And so you want to use that platform to its greatest benefit. It's about virtues, the virtues of being competitive, of working hard, of being the best that you can be, and then to create social change and to call for social justice. The WTA is the #1 women's professional sport in the world. By growing the business side of the game and by globalizing it and by being able to take advantage of national markets and then regional markets, international, global markets, we were able to really grow the game. And we're not a startup, but we need to maintain that mentality because we need to see the tremendous responsibility that we have as leaders in this space, and the fact that 1 million fans come to see them at those big events, it's pretty darn amazing. Younger generations are more data savvy and they expect it, and it helps them have deeper insight into a pro's game. Data will tell you that, for example, if a player stands a foot further behind the baseline, it affects the speed, it affects the height of the ball. If her racket is, here versus here, the difference is tremendous. And as an athlete, as a fan or as a journalist, as a writer or a broadcaster, I want to get as close to that science as possible so that I can get into the head of the athlete and really understand what is going on the court. We can analyze how she's landing on the court. We can analyze the number of times that she's landed in a certain position in a game, in a set, in a whole match. And then, is it safe for her to go on and play another tournament? At what point does she need to stop and rest her joints? And we will be able to tell that. When fans look at a data cast of a match, for example, they can compare themselves to a pro. It works as a motivating factor for them to get better, and ultimately that will motivate more people to play and to really work on their game. This is the difference that our technology partnership has made to the game. And this is just the beginning. The more objective information we have, the better. And I believe that as a sport, you have to keep up with technological advancement, because your story is a story that everybody can relate to. So other industries, other people can benefit from our benefits, because we can tell the story of, look at how it's changed the way we consume, the way we apply, the fan, the media. It goes very deep. So it can make a match so much more interesting than what meets the eye. For the younger generation, capturing this infinite number of data points to make the WTA better and to make the players better and healthier, that is what is so exciting.
As a person, it's really important to orient yourself to the highest goals possible. And personally, I don't let outside events control who I am or what I do. It's how you react to outside events and what you can do from that that matters. And it's a test of character, and I see that Honeywell as a company and its culture does the same things. I was born in Vietnam, and just before the fall of Saigon. It was a very difficult time. We were sent to the new economic zone, which is really a barren place in the countryside that didn't have infrastructure, water, and things like that. So when faced with that prospect, my parents decided to escape Vietnam. On the third attempt, we were successful. So then what happened after that was quite a rickety sea voyage without navigation equipment, shipwreck somewhere in the Filipino archipelago. In the refugee camp, we were lucky to get asylum in Australia. So I grew up in Sydney, working class suburb, and, very poor, and trying to make a new life. There were lots of exciting things, like the cuisine was different. I didn't speak English, so at times confusing, but also very exciting. So that was a very strong emotion. The other experience was just being poor and wanting to have a better life. I was about 16, and so I thought, how do I get a job and generate an income while I'm at school? So that's what I did. I started with a couple of students, and HTML was just coming out, and so I created a website and taught myself how to code. After about a year, I had 100 students and about 5 employees that helped me. So it was a pretty scrappy kind of enterprise, but, very good business and generated a lot of cash flow, and I employed people, and I learned a lot about running a business at a young age. It just made me fall in love with technology and where computing was going, because it was my first foray into computers, but not just local programming, but the power of the internet and what the internet could do. That's how I started my career in technology. Honeywell has always been a technology company in 2 ways. There is a fundamental science way, whether it's the material science we work on or space flights. We're in the physical, chemical, electrical, fundamental science of the world in what we do. But then there's what has digital done to how we run the business. So whether it's the products that we produce or how we operate as a company, digital technologies is just a core part of how we work. So, it's not only an enabler for our ability to make the right calls on what we should do, but also it's how we run our business. We can't do it without data. This year, very tough year for everybody. But Honeywell has risen to the challenge in trying to find solutions. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of character to be able to do that. We rolled out new products around making buildings and environments safer, with our indoor quality solutions to how we sanitize aircraft. It really is inspiring to see how the company responds. This is tens of thousands of people working in unison towards a goal.
The idea of what's possible. I get really energized by the technologies that we can bring to market and the ability that we have to use those technologies to solve the problems in our industry. So one of our most immediate solutions is our UV cabin system, and we're really proud of how quickly we brought this to market. It rolls down the aisle of the aircraft and can clean an entire aircraft in roughly 10 minutes. In 6 short weeks, we were able to convert that design concept into a design, spin up our entire supply chain, and produce first units. 6 weeks from initial design concept to production. Just imagining the possibility of what we can accomplish is incredibly exciting and energizing to me and to all of the teams that I work with on a day-to-day basis.
The business unit that I'm in is all about servicing the needs of buildings. The big thing about what we call a healthy building is all about knowing that today's a good day to come back to work. And so when we thought about how to do that, we broke it down into 3 areas. So all of that comes together: air quality, secure access and safety, and then the reassurance through that analytics, that healthy building dashboard. And we find that is the best way to enable people to get the most out of their building experience. When all that great technology and capability and analytics comes together, it's got to be very innovative and drive that higher value outcomes that we're looking for. Can the building also become greener and more sustainable to do that? The only way you can do that is to really change your strategy and think about a much more integrated way that really solves problems with the customer, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
I'm very excited about the innovations Honeywell's bringing out. We're building software solutions that are optimizing how our customers run their operations and driving waste out of the system. Because people want more productivity, more growth, more safety outcomes, higher quality products. And that can only be done with the application of digital technologies with what we do today.
Life is short. Life is precious. We need to make every moment matter and go build things that are going to make a difference and change the world. And I'm not stopping till I do.
We want a more productive and sustainable world. But I always wanted to achieve and strive for the most that I can contribute.
You need to go against the odds, and you need to break convention. You need to question the status quo and see if you can push the envelope and be better.